A very warm welcome to you. Many thanks for joining us on this week's edition of the program. We remain your source for all the latest happening in the world of business. I am Susan Obiako, and you are warmly welcome. In celebration of women in the insurance industry across board, we kickstart our 2026 IWD, themed What Women Bring to the Table in the Insurance Industry. The theme has opened a vista of interesting conversation about women's critical role in the Nigerian insurance industry sector. This week, we continue the conversation with the 23rd President and Chairman of Council, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCIB, the body that is unarguably the engine room of the Nigerian insurance market. Let's take a listen to this powerful but very down-to-earth woman, Mrs. Ekelma Ezebe.
I was never a victim of gender bias, but I do not pretend that it does not happen because I've been lucky. It still exists, but does it exist as much as it used to?
What more can I say? If you're ready, let the conversation begin right after the break.
I can teach you, I can love you if you get it
A very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the CEO Rendezvous this week on a special project on International Women's Day. In this series, we are celebrating women in the Nigerian insurance industry. And when I say women, I'm talking about women, as they say in popular parlance, of timber and caliber. Today, I have the rare honor and privilege to be sitting one-on-one with the President and Chairman of Council of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, NCIB, a foremost lawyer and insurance professional par excellence, Mrs. Ekelma Ezebe. Thank you so very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Faith, for having me.
So we have seen this series, What Women Bring to the Table in the Nigerian Insurance Industry. Now, my first question to you, Madam President, is when you look at the Nigerian insurance industry today, would you say you're satisfied with the level of female representation in the C-suite across the board?
Before I directly say I am not satisfied, I would like to look back in time. I remember that there were even very few women at the C-suite in the insurance industry, back in the day. And have we progressed since then? I would say the answer is yes, although we are not yet there, but we have progressed tremendously. Every International Women's Day, I unconsciously take stock to know how we are doing, to gauge how we are doing about female representation. And this year's zone, I became happier than I was in years past.
Why is that so?
Yes, the reason is this. I started checking. This period, we have had Mrs. Yetunde Ilori, the president of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, although not the first, not the second, not the third, fourth, fifth, but she is a woman and she's the one at the helm of affairs there. And then I come to the NCIB. The NCIB own is very monumental in the sense that the NCIB is 63 years. And in all of that 63 years, it took 49 years for Mrs. Laido Shijo to break the glass ceiling by being the first female president in the NCIB. And then it took another 9 years for Dr. Mrs. Onibogi to emerge as the second. And after her, this is 63 years for me to come in as the third. And this is after a line of 22 people, me being the 23rd president, meaning that indeed only 3 women out of 23, 20 being male. That's why I said it's huge. And we thank God. And for the first time in the history of NCIB, Mrs. Olufunka Adenusi, MNI, is the deputy president, meaning that by the grace of God, she will be my successor. So we're having women back to back coming, so for the very first time. And so it is a quantum leap. When you get to the NIA side, by God's grace in June, Mrs. Ebele Chukwuwachukwu will be the NIA chairman. And I don't know whether a female has become an NIA chairman before. So she's going to make history. And so it is huge for the female folk. Then you get on the core operator side, the insurance underwriting side. Mrs. Jacqueline Agwe has just been confirmed as the managing director CEO of Sunland Alliance. And so, yes, general. And so it is a thing of joy. And then you go to International Energy Insurance. You see Dr. Joyce Odiachi being the acting managing director CEO. You go to Staco Insurance PLC. You see Mrs. Nike Nilola being the acting managing director CEO. And these two are also very formidable women who can hold their own. And therefore, our prayer is that the regulator should equally confirm the two of them as substantive managing directors.
Okay, Madam President, it's good they think that because oftentimes when this conversation comes up, the male gender will say, but you have women CEOs, some of the companies and all of that. Particularly the NCIB, what would you say, would you identify as the reason why it took so long for women to step into that leadership position?
Because, traditionally in Africa and Nigeria, yes, no matter how educated and exposed we may be, tradition comes into play. And then the women are seen as people who are meant to be supportive of the men, with the men being in the front and the women coming behind to play a supportive role. I would think that is majorly what it is. And no matter how educated our male folk are, that's the way it has been. And I think that's how it all started. But very, very unfortunately so too. And the men are beginning to see that when women are put in charge of things, we bring in the motherly instinct into it, and also the sense of responsibility to protect and preserve because of that motherly instinct. So they recognize it, the male folk, and they say it. And it is a good thing. And when we say it is a good thing, we're not saying they should give women who cannot actually hold their own an opportunity to be at the helm of leadership. We're saying there are very eminent women who are very well qualified to lead. They should be given that chance. The men are recognizing this, and they equally say it, and which is a good sign.
Okay, Madam President. Back to the theme of this special report for the 2026 International Women's Day. What would you say women bring to the table in the insurance industry?
In the insurance industry, women bring in accountability. Women bring sustainability of what they have met on the ground. Women bring in integrity. Women bring in putting everyone together, inclusiveness in achieving our mandates. We bring in inclusiveness. And I think that inclusiveness, again, derives from the motherly instinct, where a mother believes that no child is useless. So we bring in inclusivity, identifying what is good or the talent in each person. And then there is cohesion, and we come out beautifully well.
Okay, let's bring that down to the NCIB, yes, where you are at the center of leadership. What are you bringing to the table at the NCIB as president?
At my investiture, I revealed my trust of office, which is one insurance industry, and an insurance industry where we will all have a convergence of the operators with our regulator being there to regulate our activities. And so that way, when there is cohesion amongst the operators and even with our regulator and themselves, then we will be better able to serve our customers, who are the people that we mostly look out for. We will be able to serve our dear country, Nigeria, because when we come out together and there is strength in unity, and we bring in the things that we do professionally and we are satisfying customers, by extension, the national economy is better for it. We strengthen them. The insurance, it provides resilience. It provides resilience for the economy when there are challenging times. And so this is why I said one insurance industry. And then what is the major driver of my one insurance industry agenda? My major agenda is insurance penetration. Insurance penetration has been in discussion for donkey years. Insurance penetration is what each professional in the insurance industry, including the regulator, wants to happen. Insurance penetration is what our dear country, Nigeria, yearns for it to happen. And so it's been a challenging thing for us to achieve. When I was speaking it as the major driver, I became worried whether I wasn't threading through a very difficult terrain. But I said to myself, all our founding fathers in the insurance industry met challenges. Our leaders in the NCIB, our past presidents, each met challenges along the way. None of them ran away because of challenges. And so I will not. I decided insurance penetration, it will be as the major driver. And so insurance penetration it is. And what we have done also is that on that day, I did say that my pilot scheme for insurance penetration would be with Abia State, because I reasoned that for us to achieve that, it will be good for us to have a handshake with state governments. And so Abia State, why Abia State?
Why Abia State? I was just going to ask, is that your state?
No, it's not. Well, I'm married there, but I'm from Imo State. But that's not.
You are from
But that's not even the reason.
Okay.
The reason is this. I looked at our terrain in the country. I said, if I want to do insurance penetration, I'm not going to start from Lagos State, because that is where people are exposed the most. That is where the majority of the percentage of insurance consumers are. Then Abia State has the famous area market in Aba, which we know is the biggest market in West Africa, and arguably the biggest in Africa. And area market has about 37,000 stores, and it's been modernized. And we know that they were heavily into manufacturing. And because they were heavily into the manufacturing of leather products like bags, shoes, and some other things. So they were also heavily into exportation, which was helping the economy there until it became moribund. And it became moribund from lack of maintenance. It became moribund because there was lack of security, and people started leaving the state in droves when kidnapping and all sorts of things were happening. And then it became moribund because there was no power, and industries don't survive when you don't have constant power supply or appreciable power supply. And also, they became moribund because roads were bad. And so these four factors made the place to collapse. It also made multinationals that were in Aba. There were just so many of them at the time. But these four factors also made them to start living in their droves. But then, Abia State, under this leadership with it, Aba started having 24-hour power supply. And
And those in Lagos were crying.
yes, and I witnessed it myself. And constant power supply is every manufacturer's dream. Then Ariaria Market was rebuilt with 37,000 stores. If you go there, you'll think you're in China. Then their security became assured that people can now walk about freely. Then good road network was also there. And so the factors that made people to live in droves, the factors that made manufacturing sector to collapse were now restored. And then those other things now started coming in and the economy started breathing. And so what better place to go and preach the gospel of insurance than that place? Because we also know that their usage of insurance is also low in that area. So I then decided to pick that area for every broker who is interested to come under the banner of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, along with NIA, Nigerian Insurance Association, Institute of Loss Adjusters of Nigeria, ILAN, and with our regulator, of course, National Insurance Commission, being there to make sure that we're actually operating within the ambit of the law. And the governor there is very much interested because he also understands that everything he has done without sustainability, it will not stay. He wants it to be a legacy that whenever he finishes his tenure as allotted by the Constitution, then it will be a legacy where successive governors will see the need for it to remain in place. That is what we want. But we intend, this is just the pilot scheme. We intend to go from one part of the country to the other. And we have been seeing market fires happening. The latest is the Kano one, which is so painful. And all we hear is they have donated this, to the traders. They have donated this to the state government to put back the market together. But it is very painful. As insurance practitioners, we know that what is happening is using money that would have been used for other developments, using it to rebuild a market that should have been insured, that insurance would have been there for resilience.
Okay, Madam President, sorry to cut into your thoughts. Now,
Yes,
we've seen this trend happen across Nigeria over the years, even in Lagos. You see market fires give huge amounts of money. They become, as I always say jokingly, the governor of that state becomes the first insurance of first choice. They are the ones that are now restoring people to the position where they were before originally. Why do you think that some of our state governors are not proactive enough to see insurance as a form of risk management for some of these markets until fire happens and they start doling out money?
Yes, I think probably we should do more work as operators. We should do more work on awareness creation, and which is part of this project that the NCIB is carrying on now. We should do more work for them to understand that is even to their advantage. It will even improve their revenue, not just protect their citizens and the government itself. So which is why the NCIB, as the largest distribution network of insurance, have taken it upon ourselves to go and preach this gospel. And not just preaching it, to explain how it works, so that one-on-one with the state governor and his team, so that they can understand, and not what they see in newspapers, although they help, So in addition to what they see in newspapers, in addition to the radio jingles that we do, in addition to television jingles and interviews, one-on-one explanation of how things will work, of how schemes will work, and one-on-one enlightenment on the provisions of the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act, the compulsory insurances that it has created. And the reason for those is to make sure that liabilities are taken care of. And with market fires, there are huge liabilities arising from that, apart from the physical damage, to things themselves. there are plenty third-party liabilities arising from all of these things, which by law we must take care of, so that we will be very careful about the way we operate in order not to inconvenience third parties. So these are the things that we put on the table and explain to them. And then again, another driver of my tenure is microinsurance. Until we have brought the low-income people under the insurance safety net, we have not done our bit, to holistically make sure that we capture everyone in the basket of insurance basket of having an economy that will withstand shock.
Okay, well said. Now let's look at the NCRIB in terms of women's contribution to the growth of the council over the years. In your assessment?
Yes, in my assessment, it's been enormous. It's been very enormous. And with the first female president, her tenure was one of a revolution. Even the building where we are now, which is 13 years, getting into the 14th year, she was the one who completed it, and now made sure that we moved into this befitting edifice, that we're all proud of. Although it was started by a man, but she completed it and made sure that we moved in time. And apart from other that she had served successive presidents before her. And the president is the ceremonial face that you see. But a president can never quite be successful if you don't have those behind you, giving you covering fire and doing things, that will contribute to the success of their office. That was what she did before becoming a president. The second female, ditto for her. Her presidency was at a time that resilience was needed more than ever. That was during the COVID-19 pandemic. But she didn't allow that to deter her. She made sure she not only sustained all the programs of the council, whether virtually or otherwise, but also made sure that she got the attention of Aso Rock to the things that we do, amongst other things that she did, other legacies that she left behind. And now coming to me, it means that the challenge I have is an uphill task, but am I ready to make sure that I don't let them and even our male folk down? Yes, I'm ready. And I also know that God will help me. And then you can also see the strength that Mrs. Olufunka Adenusi brings to the table. I mean, my deputy president. So I know she's someone also who has the passion of the council. And not only does she have that, she's also been working from the background. Just like me, I worked from the background for many years, both in the NCIB and the larger insurance industry, to make sure successive presidents came out well. And we have other women on the board of the NCRIB who, especially area committee chairmen.
Okay, Madam President, can unconscious bias be fully eradicated, or you don't believe it exists? Some still believe women are less capable of high-level roles, which sometimes can actually affect career progression.
Yes, of course, it does exist. I have been fortunate. I haven't, all through my work life, I was never a victim of gender bias. But I do not pretend that it does not happen because I've been lucky. It still exists. But does it exist as much as it used to? No, it doesn't exist as much as it used to. Because like I said, there is a reawakening, of knowing that women bring as much as the men to the table. In fact, the men will even tell you now that when they work together with the women, they usually come out more successful. And it's very positive and a good sign. And just like the women too, we cannot say in a room full of leaders that it will be all women. No, that's not even how God designed it. There must be a blend of the two genders, so that all will work. But not two genders because they are just men and women, but there must be men and women who are formidable enough to deliver the goods, who in their own right know what they will bring to the table to make things work.
Well said. What would you say is still the biggest challenge women face in the Nigerian insurance industry today?
If you ask me, I would say maybe number one, erasing from their minds that they are going to be discriminated against, focusing more on what they will bring to distinguish themselves, amongst members of the profession, but not focusing on the negative to say, I'm a woman, very soon the men would not want me to shine. No, focus more on the positivities. Focus more on the things that you are going to bring to the table that is going to make profound impact. A woman mustn't forget that. And I would say, as a woman, we're even lucky. We are lucky in the sense that the way we are naturally, people tend to listen to us when they think, more to us when they think you are making sense. You draw attention to yourself like, hey, did you hear her? So, yes, let us strive to have our aha moments when people can say, aha, that lady is making sense. Let us learn to be confident. Let us learn to be very much informed. Let us learn to seek for knowledge and also seek for ways to showcase that knowledge. And more important, that it is the duty for every woman that finds herself in the C-suite to have a handshake with a younger person.